Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 36 of the Runnin the Paint podcast. I'm Miles with Nick, Joey, and Jackson. Guys, how are you doing today?
What up? How we feeling, guys? Happy Jackie Robinson Day for the MLB fans out there.
Happy Jackie Robinson Day, yes.
Little 6-0 Guardians win today. Shout out to Xavier Curry, 5. Scoreless 2-hit. Xavier Curry. Let's go.
Feeling good. Feeling tired. I'm currently on the road, just outside of Chicago. Got 2 more driving days until I get to Colorado.
Going to Denver, the land of champions. Jackson, how are you doing today?
Hanging in there.
Hanging in there? I guess. I mean, that is what we're all doing.
Shout outs, I'd like to give a shout out to Mike Trout. He's gonna have 50 home runs, 50 RBIs this season.
First player ever.
Oh my goodness. Well,
it's like the Josh Allen graphic. First player ever.
First player ever. But no, on Sunday, the NBA regular season schedule concluded, which means, guys, now it's time for some postseason basketball. Tonight is the first day of the 2024 play-in tournament, and in this episode, we are going to preview and perhaps predict all 4 of the games occurring tonight and Wednesday. There are a lot of very intriguing matchups. Should be a lot of fun, but first, we do have some news to go over. Wasn't sure if we'd really get any news, because you don't really get a whole lot between, the end of the regular season and then the play-in tournament. But the biggest news headline probably that just came out before we started recording is the Team USA basketball roster was released and announced by Shams. The 11 of the 12 players were named. So the players on the roster are Steph Curry, who's going to play in his first Olympics. Got LeBron, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid. Most likely that'll be the starting 5. Then you've got Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis with 1 more spot to go. Guys, a super stacked roster. What do you guys think?
It's going to be 2 extra spots because Joel Embiid's going to get injured.
That's the spirit.
I hope not.
Yeah, I really hope not. I hope not.
Solid roster, definitely built with defensive principles in mind. I think there's a lot of good defenders on that squad. I know Jackson had one of his favorite guys snubbed off the list. I don't know if he wants to talk about that, but I don't know. This last spot, I was trying to think while you were talking. I think there's one guy that comes to mind initially is Paolo Banchero. I know he was on the FIBA World Cup team this past summer, so he's already got that experience a little bit. He was there with Tyrese. But there was another guy, I forget. Jackson, tell him about your snub, please. Tell the audience.
Well, I mean, I think Jalen Brunson should be on it over Tyrese Halliburton. That's just my opinion. I think he deserves it. I think he would be a good World Cup player because he's a really tough player. I mean, he's a smaller guard, but he's tough as nails. He reminds me of Patty Mills. Like, Patty Mills always plays really well in the World Cup because he's just a tough guy.
This isn't the World Cup, it's the Olympics, my friend.
Whatever. All right, he plays well in the Olympics too, so it's really
in international play. I mean, Jalen Brunson does definitely seem like a guy that could shine in that role. I think Tyrese Halliburton fits the team as well because of his elite playmaking. But Jalen Brunson definitely snubbed from this list. I think from the first 11.
I think it's gonna be Kawhi. I think they'll choose Kawhi to replace him or to be the last guy. Just because he has that pedigree, he's like.
I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I think
I
team's
think Kawhi
already stacked. This team is already stacked. I don't think.
Well,
I think it's gonna be like in 2008 when we just kind of rolled through everybody.
we were talking about the Canadian squad. They're very good. Said
The
Germany
French
with
squad as
Wagner
well.
brothers.
Serbia because they have Doncic, but like.
Or well, no, Serbia would have a Jokic if you wanted to play.
Oh,
Doncic
Serbia
Jokic
has
is not gonna
Croatia.
want to play.
Croatia, thank you.
Jokic
Sorry.
is not gonna play.
Yes,
Yeah,
he will.
Jokic.
He's
No,
got
he
horse
won't.
racing to do.
It's the Olympics. I bet you he plays. France will
doesn't
have
care.
Kobe and Wemby,
He
like
doesn't
we were
care
talking about.
He
Bring
doesn't
Tony
care
Parker
what
out
it
of
is.
retirement.
If the equestrians were in the Olympics, he would be there, but for his horses.
The question
The first
is in
dual
the Olympics.
sport NBA champion in the Olympics.
Horse racing's
Dual
not in the
sport
Olympics,
athlete.
is it?
Not horse racing, but like equestrian is.
What?
Like doing, like people on horses, like doing like jumps and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Look
getting
it up. Look it up.
Hopefully Jokic goes for that then.
Jokic, I do not want to see Jokic riding a horse in the Olympics.
I don't know.
Horse
Hopefully
riding.
they avenge
That would hurt my brain.
the USA FIBA World Cup team from this summer because they disappointed. They were fourth place. They lost to the Canadian team in the third place game. It was a big mess. You had a lot of NBA like borderline superstars. Jalen Brunson was on the team. Mikal, Tyrese, they were all there.
And
Yeah, they didn't really have any superstars on that team though. At least at that time.
Ant was like the guy. He kind of broke out.
Pretty much. But you could tell this team it's full of superstar power. Um, I like the Kawhi Leonard pick. I think that would make a lot of sense. But I also like Knicks' Paolo Banchero take. I think that's a bit of a sleeper because the USA always loves to put one young guy at the end of their roster. Now, Paolo Banchero, he's done a lot in his first 2 years in the league, but he definitely would fit that role as like the young guy on the USA teams. I like that pick a lot.
KD isn't on there yet, is he?
hear me out.
Kevin Durant?
Team USA needs.
Oh no, he's on the team. He's on the team.
Team USA needs a tough guy.
I
Call
was-
Draymond's phone right now.
Oh my.
Draymond Green.
He's got the experience. He knows how to play defense. He will rip Victor Wembanyama in half.
I also like the Paolo pick just because.
Go laser.
No, well, yeah, but no, like
See?
Paolo, he can if he wants. If he doesn't make this team and he decides maybe next Olympics or World Cup, he can go play for Italy. He can change his allegiance. He can change his. He can go between the two, just like Embiid.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we don't get at least a bronze medal, I would be thinking about that if I was him.
100%.
I don't know. Italy, I don't think has been very good in the Olympics or international play for a little while, but
They got some players, but not great ones. He would be by far and away the best one.
Yeah, we really don't get a whole lot of apologies to the listeners. For Italy, what other like I can only think of like Danilo Gallinari as like great Italian players.
Andrea Bargnani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea Bargnani, yeah.
Marco Bellinelli.
Yeah, Marco Bellinelli, yeah. But per Shams, Kawhi Leonard is the leading candidate for this final vacant spot for the U.S., with the other candidates being Jalen Brunson, Paolo Banchero, also Paul George and Mikal Bridges. Now, Mikal Bridges has had a disappointing year, but I think
Paul
he could.
George.
You don't like Paul George on Team USA?
No. Not after his horrific injury that my parents witnessed firsthand. They were in Vegas at that game when he broke his leg, and I just don't want to see it. Nothing against Paul George. I just don't. To me, it's traumatizing. It's like PTSD of him working out with Team USA again.
I'm trying to remember. Did he play in the? Yeah, he did play in the Olympics again in 2016. So he did avenge that. But it is a fair point. It is a fair point. But yeah, just a super stacked Olympics team. But the international game is definitely different than the NBA, and Team USA is going to be playing against a bunch of teams and countries that have been playing together really all year practicing for this. That's how it is. So
That
def
was
yeah.
sorry. That was the big glaring thing over the summer was like these teams not only have just played together like in past um, like they played together for years in past international competitions. A lot of these guys just stay on the roster. The turnover isn't as high as you would really imagine. Like a lot of the guys kind of stick on the international teams in these European countries and all that. So really, the glaring thing was like, okay, none of the USA players have played together. They're all young, they're talented, they're dynamic, and like very much more skilled professionally. But these other guys have practiced together a lot more.
It doesn't necessarily translate to good chemistry on the court, and you could, especially in the World Cup when we came in fourth. You're absolutely right. It was glaring that we were outmatched chemistry wise, and basketball is a team game, so
It's a organic thing. It's like
yeah.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna need to figure out how to play as a team, but I have all the confidence in the world that this team. I mean, just it's
I
gonna
do.
be so much fun. Steph, LeBron, and Durant all on the same team. That's the first time we're ever gonna have seen that. As the three, I would say the three best players from this most recent generation of players. We're currently kind of, or at least era, we're kind of transitioning to really figure out the next era of the NBA. But as far as the like 2010s era, I
I
mean
was about to say,
LeBron, Curry, and Durant are the three best players.
if you're going from that 2010 decade, man, it is for sure those three guys.
and one of those three will be out of the playoffs this year.
That's
A
a
little
nice
sneak
little
preview.
little
That
sneak
is
preview.
true.
Um, But before we get to that, let's unfortunately
Actually,
talk
that's not
about a
true.
team that's nowhere close to this. With the Detroit Pistons coming out that they are going to be in search for a new president of basketball operations.
I'll
Um
do it.
yeah, dude, I saw so many people tweet out like, dude, hire me. I could help them win 20 games. They won 14 this year. And of course, all that 28 game winning streak was super brutal. Um, it's just
First
been
order of
rough.
business: fire that overrated coach they have. Get him out of
Well,
there.
you can't. You signed him for like
Oh,
10 years.
oh, I make the rules if I'm the president
Dude, that
of
would
the basketball
suck.
operations.
Fire
For
him one
who?
year into a 5 year max deal, like the most expensive deal at the time.
You
Detroit
know,
Pistons fans can handle it. They're fine.
Monty would probably be okay with it. He's going to be paid so much over the next 5 years. That
I don't even think he's a
True.
bad coach. I mean, this was just
Sucks.
this was obviously glaringly awful. But I mean, we've seen historically that he's been a good head coach. This year was just rough. I mean, Monty Williams with New Orleans and Phoenix, those are the spots. And Phoenix obviously
yeah.
was more successful.
If you lose 28 games in a row, it's not just coaching.
Yep.
Well, obviously,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
some
But
of
A
it
lot
has
more
to be
going on.
coaching.
A
Troy
man named
Weaver, he took over in the 2020 offseason, which was like the start of this rebuilding
Downfall.
era. That previous season, that's when they got rid of their core players from the previous years: Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin. That's crazy to think that like those were the best players of like that era, and now they're either out of the league or like at the end of second units in the league. Still quality with Reggie Jackson and Drummond, but in this 4 year span since he took over, in this 4 year rebuild, where I'd say they drafted well and they've done a decent job acquiring young talent. They've gone 20 and 52, 23 and 59, 17 and 65, and 14 and 68 for a combined 74 wins over 4 seasons of a rebuild. Obviously, there needed to be a change.
100%.
That's really bad.
Yeah, Detroit's been really bad for a long time.
Yeah, like ever since like they had I don't remember how many years straight it was, so I don't want to say the number. But it was a long run where they made like a bunch of Eastern Conference Finals in a row with the Chauncey, Rashid, Ben Wallace era, and then after that they haven't won a playoff game since. They've been in two series, they've gotten swept in each. It's just been a rough go for the Pistons, and you feel bad for their fans.
They could have made that team a dynasty so easily. So easily. If they just
With
draft
Chauncey?
Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, if they just draft Carmelo Anthony or Dwayne Wade.
See, that's a thing that
it doesn't. That just
Who'd they
didn't
draft
fit
in
that
2003?
team back then, though.
Darko.
Dwayne Wade would have fit that team so well.
Would
Their
he
starting
though?
lineup was basically set. They had Chauncey, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace. All five of those guys have I would say maybe 3 of those guys are Hall of Famers. You could have a conversation to have the other 2 as well.
Didn't they have a year where 4 of them made the All-Star team?
And it should have been 5. It should have been all 5.
Yeah.
Tayshaun Prince was the one who was snubbed, and he's the one who he also should have got in it.
God,
I get that.
Prince was a dog.
Yeah, that is a crazy
defensive players of our generation.
Yeah, very special defensive player. I mean, that is one of the bigger what ifs. It's like, what if the Pistons drafted Carmelo Anthony? Because even though they drafted a draft bust at number 2, they still won the championship that very next season.
I was gonna say Darko got a shit before anybody else in that draft.
He has more rings than Melo, which is crazy because Melo never ended up getting a championship.
Has more rings than Melo.
Exactly. But yeah, that's one of those things where I don't think it's as simple as like, oh, the Pistons still win if Carmelo's drafted there, because it's just not that simple.
Well, Carmelo wins if Carmelo's drafted there.
He would have been I hate to say it, he might have been coming off the bench though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Or I mean, I know they weren't. This wasn't the era where like you could consistently start like Tayshaun at the 4 or Carmelo, because at that time, because they didn't they acquired Rasheed Wallace midway through the season in the greatest trade deadline deal in NBA history. So that's like the only opening that would have been there, but I just don't think.
But if they draft Dwayne Wade, I think you can push Rip Hamilton to the bench. I think you're okay with that.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dwayne Wade was a winner from the second he stepped into the league. Like, he was going head to head with Baron Davis his first year in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, what was it, his 3rd year they won a championship in Miami?
Yeah, 3rd year with Shaq and with those guys. But either way, with the Pistons, you just hope that they can get in a better direction. I went to a Pistons game earlier this season, and the fans were awesome. Like, honestly, the game was pretty electric for them, having the worst record in the East. And it's because it's been so long since they've won anything that they're so desperate and starving for good basketball and success. So I gained a lot of respect for Pistons fans going to Detroit. So I'm rooting for the Pistons a little bit.
You know what? They're due. It's going to happen in a couple years where they're going to make a run to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, what happened? Where did they come from? And it's like, they're just due, man. Eventually it's going to happen.
They just need to make the playoffs first. They need to win more than 25 games.
I thought they were going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing that's shocking. Like, none of us had them making the play-in, or like, I had them at the lower end of the Eastern Conference, but I did not expect them to be this bad. Like, and it was from the very start that they were bad.
Yeah.
But no, you're right, Joe. I mean, you see all the time we can, both Rockets and Cavs fans, we could be like, oh, I remember when we were fans during this time, and you post the starting lineup featuring
J.J. Hickson,
or like even like a couple of years ago, like Dang Adele, Jaron Blossom Game, Colin Sexton,
yeah,
Brandon Knight, Ante Zizic. or even the Rockets the one year. Like we're all
Every year.
not every year. This year, look, this year I did some research that for later in the podcast, looking at every team's how many starting lineups they played or how many different starting lineups they had during the season. And surprisingly enough, the the Grizzlies with the record-breaking 51 different starting lineups. But when you look at the least amount of starting lineups used, the Rockets were number 3 in the league. They only used 13 different starting lineups. So I mean, good step.
The Grizzlies with
in
one different starting lineup for every win they're gonna have next year.
It's definitely impossible. You think
Let's go.
They won? I
They're
think
gonna have a top
56.
pick. They're gonna get Alex Sarr alongside Triple J.
Ooh.
That's actually insane. Or Donovan Clingan next to Triple J.
Or Bronny James.
No.
As we were talking about in the pre-pod lobby.
He better not. He's gonna go in the lottery, but he better not go to the Grizzlies.
I honestly think that wouldn't be a bad fit.
LeBron
But anyways,
would go in and shape everybody up in that organization. He'd have Ja acting like a civil citizen.
I can see LeBron
yeah.
being under Taylor Jenkins too.
Yeah.
LeBron, it's not under Taylor Jenkins.
I guess you're right. Being with Taylor.
LeBron's the coach.
I was gonna say Taylor under him.
Yeah, sure.
Even though Taylor Jenkins is a very good head coach.
Great coach.
I think the job he's done some really good jobs with that team. I think this year might have honestly been his best job because they were still competitive in like every single game, even though they had 51 different starting lineups and 33 players played for them this year. NBA record. Final news story. Getting some more contract extension news with Grayson Allen signing a 4-year, $70 million extension with the Phoenix Suns. Great move. I mean, this is something that the Suns needed to do in the offseason. They decided to take care of it right before the playoffs.
Went from being the most hated person in the NCAA to getting a big, massive extension.
I was just about to say, shout out to one of the dirtiest players in NCAA history.
No, he's played well. He's changed.
He's played well. There's hope for even Dylan Brooks out there now.
Okay, stop it. Dylan Brooks did not play that bad.
Well, Grayson Allen leading the NBA in 3-point percentage in his first year with Phoenix, averaged 13 points, 4 boards, 3 assists per game. Just a super great get for the Suns in that Damian Lillard trade, but Grayson Allen shot 46% from 3 on 6 attempts per game. That's a great percentage and something that the Suns are going to need come playoff time.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, we were talking in the pre-pod lobby. It's like Suns are a little handcuffed now with their money situation, but this is exactly what they needed to address first thing in the offseason, and they got it locked up early, so good for them.
Yep, starting 5 is set.
I don't know why they thought they should trade for Bradley Beal. I haven't heard. Talk about somebody we haven't heard in like a month. I haven't heard Bradley Beal all season. I just forgot he existed.
Grayson Allen, just real quick, another one of those guys who was in college for 4 years and now is making, he's got a great mid-level contract. He'll be making $20 million a year. Shooting basketballs for a living. That's awesome.
It also, even though he was a 4-year college guy, it also took him a little bit to kind of find his home in the league. He started out with the Jazz, then traded to the Grizzlies in the Mike Conley deal. Showed some moments in the postseason there for the Grizzlies, and then went to Milwaukee. Was huge for the Bucks. And now he's a huge part of this Phoenix Suns team and what they hope to do in the playoffs. But speaking of the playoffs, or at least the postseason, let's get into this preview for the play-in tournament.
Let's do this.
So let's go in order of the games happening. So tonight at 7:30, the first game, the Western Conference play-in, it is the Los Angeles Lakers and the New Orleans Pelicans, 7:30 p.m. on TNT. Guys, where do you want to start with this matchup?
My sadness for the Pelicans because they stand no chance against Le Pookie and a one-game
AD revenge
showdown.
game.
But I love the Pels, and I'm sad that they got bumped out of the top 6 because they looked so locked for the longest time. They were playing really well. They were one of the hottest teams in the league, and they struggled down the stretch with injuries, and BI was out, and that hurt them. But I don't know. I'm more confident about their chances in the second game. Whoever wins Sacramento, Golden State will win to get there.
Yeah.
I,
Look,
yeah,
comparing these two teams, the Pelicans, they had a very good regular season, 49 wins on the season, and that got them the 7th seed. 6th best defense, 11th best offense, but the Lakers, I mean, like you said, Nick, they got LeBron, they got AD, and the Lakers have really had the Pelicans number all season. So it's definitely a difficult matchup. As Dallas says hello.
yeah.
The run on the paint mascot.
Yes.
100%. She's been a true
mascot. Okay,
No,
I'm like a puppet.
What was it? A couple weeks ago, we were doing our playoff previews, and we all said, "Oh, it's basically locked. Clippers versus Pels."
Yeah, we
and
did.
now here we are, the Pels and the play-in. Like that's how quickly everything changed. But hey, 49 wins is not a shabby season at all. You do that next year, you this year was different, but like maybe even next year if you get 45 to 50 wins like they did this year, you might get like a 6, like could get like a 5 seed, 4 seed maybe. Like who knows?
LeBron's gonna be gone. Well, maybe not out of the West. Nobody really knows.
Yeah.
It is just unfortunate that they have to play the Lakers because LeBron and AD in the playoffs, nobody wants to play that.
No, especially in a one-game scenario.
Yeah.
Timberwolves are ready.
They obviously just played earlier this week with the Lakers winning by 16, 14, 18.
It was a point amount.
For the Pelicans, what do you because of course the thing is like obviously the matchups have not favored the Pelicans a lot this season. The Lakers won the season series 3-1, and their wins have looked very, very impressive. But with all of these games, it is a Game 7 March Madness style winner go home type of game, and anything can happen. Any one of you guys, what needs to go right for the Pelicans for them to have a chance in this game?
Zion, yeah, Zion needs to be dominant like he is, or like he has played. But along with Zion being dominant, Brandon Ingram is just getting back healthy. Hopefully, he can get it going quickly because he's been out for He's been out for 12 games before the other day, and then in games, for example, like when I saw Zion against the Cavs, when I was watching that game on TV, Zion had 30 points. CJ McCollum wasn't hitting any shots though. You need to have Zion being dominant, but also CJ McCollum and the other guys being a threat to spread the floor. Otherwise, Zion's going to get his buckets, but if he's just making 2s the entire time, and the other side they're making 3s, it's not going to go well.
I figured it out. No one need to worry. You just get Savannah mad at LeBron somehow.
Dude.
Game.
Oh my gosh. Well, look, the thing with
the Genie Bus video.
Zion hasn't had his best games against the Lakers either. Like looking back at the 4 times that they played this season and the times where Zion was available, which he was available for a lot of this season. Gotta give props to Zion. But the way the Lakers would match up. Well, I'm not talking about Anthony Davis right now, buddy boy. But no, they've had LeBron guard Zion, and LeBron would just play off of Zion and let him shoot, and that's the main issue. Like Zion really, really struggled in this game Sunday. This is like the main game to really look at when you're looking at the matchups for these two, because obviously it was the last game that these two teams played. But I want to go back and make sure I find the what Zion shot. Yeah, Zion only finished with 12 points on 4 of 13 shooting, and it was because LeBron was playing off of it. And it's so difficult to get your looks off when they know you're not a threat from the outside. And Valanciunas, only played 7 minutes in this game. He usually doesn't play a lot against the Lakers because it's just not the best matchup with him and Anthony Davis. That's what the Pelicans lack, is a guy that can guard Anthony Davis.
I don't know. I think you play Valanciunas for that reason. I mean, yeah, you might be giving up some things somewhere, but Davis is what makes this offense go for the Lakers. Like LeBron's gonna be LeBron. LeBron's been LeBron for 20 whatever years. He's gonna get 25 and 8 probably in this game without like blinking. So if you keep Davis under 30, keep him. If you can contain him to say 20 points, obviously you asked what I like, what needs to go right for the post. You keep Davis at 20 points, you're gonna have a great shot to win this game. So I think your best way to do that is to play Valanciunas to limit him, to limit
I don't
Davis.
know.
On the other end, Joey, you definitely hit the nail on the head. It's Bi and Zion. In this game, they were 3-1. The one game that the Pels won, it was early on in the season. Bi and Ingram, or Bi and Zion, each had 26. They combined for 18 to 30 from the field. So that's what needs to go right.
I'm just
Yeah,
worried about
yeah.
Bi coming back so quickly. He hasn't had much time to get back into his groove,
Yeah, he's had one game to really go off of, and
and it was
um,
against the Lakers.
yeah, and it was against the Lakers, who they usually. So the way that they usually match up the Lakers against the Pelicans with the way they played, they've put D'Angelo Russell on Herb Jones, Austin Reeves on C.J. McCollum, which I think is a good cross matchup there. They've had Rui guard Ingram. You got a lot of size on Brandon Ingram,
Yeah.
of course LeBron on Zion and AD on Valanciunas, and what the Lakers have done, like LeBron has been playing off of Zion, allowing him to shoot jump shots from the outside. But also, whenever the Pelicans have tried to go into the post, which is one of their strengths because they have a lot of decent options in the post, the Lakers have gone and doubled whoever has the ball in the post, whether it's Valanciunas, Zion, or Ingram, and the Pelicans, they haven't really been able to combat that because the Lakers' defensive rotations have been so good when they play the Pelicans. So the Pelicans are just going to need to be sharp here. I think they are definitely the more talented team. I think they're the deeper team, but the Lakers have better star power to close the show when it comes down to it.
And the thing is, we're talking a lot about LeBron and Anthony Davis, but can't forget D'Angelo Russell can turn up anytime. D'Angelo Russell's played well in the playoffs before. He's been the number one option on a playoff team as well.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves has played well in the playoffs before. Austin Reeves also can turn up whenever. I mean, if you hold AD to less than 20, it doesn't necessarily mean a win because he's still going to grab a boatload of boards. He's still going to block shots no matter what. I mean, we've seen him have like 17 points before, but he has like 23 rebounds and like 4 blocks. So that's just him changing the game. And then you get worried. You get so worried about the other two. D'Lo, and Rui and Reeves can knock down shots, can kill you as well. And I think that's the thing with the Pelicans. They don't have the shooters in their starting lineup to match up with those guys as well.
No, you're right. They don't have the shooting.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Like
if
CJ's
it's
gonna need to have to
McCollum-
be locked down.
Ingram's not the
McCollum,
best
Bi,
three-point shooter.
and
Herb Jones.
Yeah.
Like Herb Jones has had a great year shooting the ball, but I don't know if I don't know if the Lakers will believe in that enough to like. I think they'll live with Herb Jones making jump shots. That's kind of what you have to do in this scenario.
One thing we may be underestimating just a little bit is the fact that New Orleans is going to be at home.
They are gonna be at home, but the Laker fans travel,
everywhere.
dude. They travel, dude, especially to New Orleans. Like watching that game Sunday, that whole section behind the Lakers bench was just packed with Laker fans. But you're right though. I mean, home court advantage is definitely a real thing. I mean, obviously you'd rather be the team playing, at home. You'd rather be the team with home court advantage. Um, I think the key to this game, like you were saying, Nick, is Anthony Davis. Because I think that you can, or at least with the Lakers side, I think you can avoid subpar games from D'Angelo Russell or Reeves, or even maybe LeBron. If Anthony Davis is going crazy, then I don't think the Lakers lose this game. I think if Anthony Davis is in a rhythm on both ends of the floor, then they're not going to lose the game.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fair. Yeah.
Are we all going to go with Lakers on this? You guys
Lakers, brother.
Yes, brother.
Okay. You are not me.
But look, that should be a super fun that should be a fun matchup. I just hope that the Pelicans can show a little heart because their games against the Lakers haven't been the most entertaining. Besides, there was one game in LA where the score at halftime was like 75 to 86. It was like insane. But I
The Lakers are the most accomplished team so far this season. They won with the banner so far this season. So
that is true. They do have the
don't
in-season
count 'em out.
They do have the
Don't count 'em
in-season
out.
tournament trophy.
I forgot the in-season tournament even existed until just now.
Oh,
Oh man.
It's playoff
well,
time.
let's move on to the nightcap on for tonight, and it is a rematch of last year's insane first round series. The Golden State Warriors and Sacramento Kings from Sacramento, 10 o'clock on TNT. The Warriors and Kings have been seeing a lot of each other over the last couple of seasons, and there's a lot of data you can really gain from all the matchups that these two teams have played.
Except the Kings don't have any, like, they don't have two of their best players
Yes.
this time around. So
The Kings are missing their two shooting guards with Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter.
I
Out
think this is
for
pretty obvious.
this.
I think it's gonna be like usual. Just I think the Kings are gonna be more short-handed, and I think they're gonna lose pretty like soundly. I don't think it's gonna be a close game.
Interesting.
Because I mean, the Warriors are still the Warriors come playoff time, but they have Chris Paul to balance it out. So it might.
I've been going back and forth on this all day, this entire drive. I mean, this was the one that I was going back and forth because I've been thinking the Warriors the entire time. However, I have a strange feeling that Steph is probably going to go off, but the rest of the team is going to do nothing, and I think Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox take it.
That is a
It's
possibility.
going to be extremely difficult without Huter and especially Monk, but I think Sabonis is going to have like a 30-point triple double, Fox with 25 and like 3 steals.
Now, or go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick. You might mention what I was going to mention.
Okay, I'll try. I hope this is it. 3 of these games that they played this year, series tied 2-2, have been decided by 1 point.
Yeah, the last
Steph
possession.
Curry just got
That's
handed
weird.
my clutch player of the year vote. I can't bet against Steph in one game elimination.
It is very,
When
very
games have been
fair.
this close.
Hey, this will be
Yeah.
the last two clutch player of the years going at it because Fox did win it last year.
There's
that
one person who
is
knows.
something that I did observe was the close games that they all played this year. Like all 4 of the games were pretty close when it came down to it. I am very intrigued with who Steve Kerr decides to start in this game.
It's gonna be Clay because when
I
it's
think it'll be
time
Pod.
to.
Well, it's not even that. He's been going with Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Draymond for this last, stretch. But the center position, I'm very curious because they've been starting Trace Jackson Davis a lot recently. He's been playing really well. A very good rookie season. But when Kevon Looney started against the Kings in the playoffs last year, he was great defensively against Sabonis, and he killed the Kings on the glass. So, and Trace Jackson Davis, the first postseason basketball. This will be the first time he plays against the Kings really this year. He hasn't been in the lineup really when they played the Kings.
Wild.
I wonder if I think that might be the difference maker in the game because Trace Jackson Davis, I don't know if he can hang with Sabonis or even Alex Len off the bench. The Kings play two very physical centers. I think the Warriors need to figure out who they're going to start because they haven't really given Kevon Looney a lot of run over the last few months.
I think what you do, I think you have Draymond wear a shirt into the arena of him stepping on Sabonis's chest last year.
Oh
to strike fear.
To strike fear.
Do you think Steve Kerr pulls a big brain move like that, where he's been playing Trace Jackson Davis a whole lot recently, and then all of a sudden against the Kings, he switches up because he knows of the matchup in Kevon Looney and he trusts them for the playoffs and especially against the Kings. Like, it may only go for a game or two because, like you said, it's been mostly Trace Jackson Davis, but like, if for at least it's a win and go on, you think he pulls a big brain move and just has Kevon start and play.
And this not only
that's huge.
Yeah, like not only is it a win and move on, this is legitimately a win or go home game. Like the Lakers Pels, if you lose, you still have another Lakers Pelicans, you still have, another day to survive potentially. If you lose this game, you are done. And for Golden State, if they lose this game, this would be a very, very disappointing way to end the season.
I think Steve Kerr pulls that big brain move and starts Kevon Looney just because of that. I think you nailed it, like bringing that up, because I'm like, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, dude, Steve Kerr's a good coach. He's a smart coach. He has these tricks up his sleeve. He's probably been thinking about this.
Like, there's a lot of different things they could go with. Like, they could even, I was running through the different things they could do, like start Jackson Davis. They could even go small if they wanted. They've played Kuminga and Draymond together. I know they at the beginning of the year they started Curry, Chris Paul, and Clay together. Like, I don't know.
On a playoff game, please.
I think they'll do the Looney thing because I just checked. He's started all their games against the Kings this year, and Sabonis has been held at least somewhat in check comparatively to the rest of this season versus the Warriors this year.
Yep.
Jackson, Jackson, what were you gonna?
Jordan. Clay turns into prime Michael Jordan apparently when it's time to eliminate a team for their season.
Unless it's against the Los Angeles Lakers last year.
But I mean, no, I'm just saying, like recently.
Not to close out a team.
Or any, no. He hits fading threes from the corner. He'll pull up from the logo just out of nowhere. Score 26 points, maybe 20. Just throwing a random number out there, 26 points.
That's something that the Kevin Huerter loss is huge for Sacramento defensively because Keon Ellis he's been a pesky defender all season. He's shot the ball really well, but he is he and Fox in the backcourt, that's a bit of a smaller backcourt to go against Curry and Clay, who's obviously a bigger shooting guard. What would your matchups look like? The way they've usually been doing this is they've been putting Golden State would put Wiggins on De'Aaron Fox, Draymond Green on Harrison Barnes, Curry on Huerter, and Clay on Murray. And then for the Kings, in their matchups, they've been putting De'Aaron Fox on Steph Curry. And Fox is a good defender, but in this big of a game, I don't know if the Warriors are a tough team for Fox to really match up against defensively because no matter what, you're going to have to exert a lot of energy defensively.
This might be a hot take, but I think they should start Davion Mitchell because Davion Mitchell is a fantastic defender.
Yeah. I was about to mention that. I was about to say, I'm like, they're going to need Davion Mitchell to step up defensively huge this game.
And the thing is, he's pretty fresh. Like, he hasn't played that much this season, so he's, like, fresh. His legs are going to be fine. I think he could be the one that you kind of plug on Steph and just have him run around with him. Have him
all right, who are you guys picking?
Get up in his face. I like I said, I think the Warriors, just because I don't know how I feel. Like, the Kings, I don't know how I feel about their scoring ability right now without two of their good scorers. Like, I think they still will score, but I don't think they'll outscore the Warriors, especially because I think Klay Thompson's going to have a huge game. I could see Wiggins having a good game, and Steph Curry's going to be Steph Curry, I think.
I'm going to go with the Kings.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going with the Kings. If Kayvon Looney starts, I think it's going to be much more difficult for my prediction of Sabonis having a 30-point triple-double. But
I don't think
you
he has
know,
it if they start Trace Jackson Davis either. Trace Jackson Davis is a tough
no, Sabonis
physical
will have a
defender.
30-point triple-double if they start Trace Jackson Davis and play him more than Looney.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm still going to go with the Kings. I believe in one of the greatest coaches of all time, Mike Brown.
Oh yeah, there we go. Now, I think I'm gonna have to go with Golden State because they just have the advantages across the board. Besides, obviously Sabonis, and like I said, I think if they start Looney, then he can kind of mitigate Sabonis's performance a little bit. But again, I'm not sure if Steve Kerr will really go with that. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about that because like Kevon Looney was really good against Sacramento last year. And even this year when he played, actually the last time that he started was January 25th against the Sacramento Kings. That was the final game he started.
There you
So
go.
you just never know. And Nick, you're going with Golden State too, like you said
Yeah.
before. All right, but
Yep.
look, do you guys think it'll be a close game? I know Jackson, you said you don't think it'll be that close. Well, how about you?
I mean, thinking about it, if Mike Brown plays the right matchups, I think it could be closer. Like I think if he starts Davion, I think that's what he should do. Just because, like I said, the fresh legs need someone to run around with Steph Curry. Davion Mitchell could be like that Dellavedova type pesky defender that the Kings might need.
I
Yeah,
think it'll be a close game as well. They've been close all year, like Nick and you said. I think it's just going to be a close game. Plus, even if the Kings and like what I was saying, like if Steph's going off, but the rest of the team ain't doing much. If Steph's still going off, he's going to keep you in the game.
right. That's very very true.
Yeah.
But yeah, this very well could be the matchup of the best matchup of these four playing games. But it's hard to tell. We've got some good matchups in the Eastern Conference as well. So let's move on to I guess specifically this first one is the super good, the super good
Yeah.
matchup in the Eastern Conference. And tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, it is the 8th-seeded Miami Heat and the 7th-seeded Philadelphia 76ers. 7 o'clock on ESPN. The 76ers getting Joel Embiid back at the beginning of the month. They've been looking great. The Miami Heat, of course, they've struggled a little bit over the last week of the season, but they're still the Miami Heat. So where do you guys want to? Yeah. So where do you guys want to start with this matchup?
The Heat are gonna win.
I think you have to start with Joel Embiid. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, probably.
So-
Sorry, Goglin.
what did you say to start with?
I'm muting myself.
You're mute.
Goglin just doesn't want to talk about Joel Embiid ever. Let's be real.
Well,
No.
I'll talk about Bam
I mentioned two of his moments in our last video being the best of the year. No, I never
That
said
is
that.
true. But Nick, go ahead. You think?
Bam's gonna eat him for breakfast.
he very well could. I don't know. I didn't say that. But Miami obviously has one of the better Joel stoppers. Jokic, one of the better defensive big men in the league, so they have that going for them. But this is a tough one because, like you said, both teams haven't had the year they've wanted. Haven't really been fully 100% healthy for a long stretch of time to kind of lock into gear, lock everything in. Joel Embiid's barely played with like Kyle Lowry. They made Kelly Oubre got hit by a freaking car.
Yeah.
And Miami's dealt with injuries all year as well.
Still dealing with it now. They got three guys that are questionable for this game. We should mention at the time of recording, Terry Rozier, Kevin Love, and Duncan Robinson, three key rotational players, could miss this game potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. It comes down to Joel. Is Bam going to be able to do enough to limit how much he's going to dominate the game? And then for the second storyline, I guess, after that, is for me Tyrese Maxey, because I think he's probably the third or fourth best player on the court in this game. Arguably like top two with Jimmy. But I Jimmy is really gonna have to turn it on, and Jimmy scares me. He has looked great in the playoffs at times, but he's also looked like unaggressive and unattacking and like just on you know what I mean? Like he's
No, I get it. I know exactly what you mean because there are some games where like he's just looking way too passive and just
passive.
yeah, like and he's just not looking like that normal, aggressive Jimmy Butler. Because he's looking to get his teammates involved, which is it's cool and all, but you at the end of the day, you've got to take this team home. So I totally agree. Something that scares me with Jimmy Butler in this sort of matchup is I don't know how this current iteration of the 76ers matches up with Jimmy Butler. The Heat have been starting they've been starting a bigger starting lineup recently. Even with Rozier out, Rozier has missed the last 4 games with neck spasms. So they've been starting Tyler Hero at the point, Jimmy Butler at the 2 with Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, who's a name that I'm sure that fans really only get to hear about when the Heat are in the Damian Lillard sweepstakes. But this year he's looked very, very impressive at times. And of course, Bam. That's a very big starting lineup. And the Sixers have been starting both Lowry and Maxey together, which is a very, very small backcourt. So, like, do you put Lowry on Jimmy? Like, I don't really know what the Sixers do with Jimmy.
Yeah. At that point with the matchups, which it is all about matchups in the playoffs. Like it's about matchups and it's about what you can do best and how much
Yeah.
you can repeat. How repeatable is your best stuff? And that comes down to matchups a lot of times. So with that matchup, I don't like it for Philly, but it will come down to do you value Philly's offense or the size advantage and the defensive advantage, and how much can you bank on Bam and Jimmy on the offensive end for Miami? For me, it would probably lean a little bit towards Miami in this situation, just because hearing those matchups, I don't like it for Philly because Kyle Lowry is not a guy who's gonna spout up and make 5 threes and really like have a lot of good things going for. I mean,
We saw it firsthand. He did
I
that
know.
against us when he was in Miami.
The one great game this season.
Hey,
He had a
that's
great
all he
game.
needs. All he needs is one good game.
He did have a great game for the Heat last year in the play-in tournament.
He can't do that with Tyrese and Joel having the ball that much though.
No, I know.
That's what's gonna need to happen in this.
No, even like Oubre and Harris too.
Yeah.
Like Lowry's going to be out there to set guys up.
I think it comes down to like obviously Embiid, Bam are going to be the big matchup everyone's going to want to watch, and obviously Tyrese and then Jimmy Butler are the next kin superstars that are gonna you could see them go off because Jimmy Butler and Tyrese has been doing it all year. To me, it comes down to the third guy. For me, like Tobias Harris, Tyler Hero,
Scary
like
Terry.
even you know what? I'm gonna say I'm not gonna put Scary Terry up there just because he is questionable. But I'll even say Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin, and if he goes off like he did last year in the playoffs, who knows?
He's going to be huge because he's going to be there. He's going to be the player that's guarding Tyrese Maxey to start games.
Mm-hmm.
So he could definitely be a big X factor as well. Something, we talk about the Embiid Bam matchup. That's going to be huge as well because as much as we may not like to watch it or whatever, Joel Embiid is great at drawing fouls. If Bam gets into early foul trouble, the Heat's backup options are Kevin Love, Thomas Bryant, like
He better not get those calls in the playoffs.
but that's what I'm saying.
He
That's a
better not.
possibility if Embiid can get Bam into foul trouble to begin the game, and the Heat have to go to. I'm telling you what, if I'm Joel Embiid, I'd much rather have Kevin Love on me than
You
Bam
can't
Adebayo.
so that isn't gonna happen. I'll tell you what. Spo isn't gonna let that happen. I think that he knows in order to win, you're not gonna be able to let Philly dominate the pace of the game like that. So anything that they're doing this week in Miami is probably like getting up and down a lot. Like if they're gonna want to win, they're gonna need to push the pace first and foremost, and not
Mhm.
let
To win,
Philly
they
get
can't
set
touch
up. And the
Joel
second thing
Embiid.
is, anytime Joel Embiid catches the ball anywhere on the court, you have the matchup advantage. Send the double right away. Force them, like force it. I know Joel makes the right read every time, and they have some knockdown shooters: Kelly Oubre, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey. Like I just made a case for him being possibly the second best player on the court in this series.
Well,
But
now another thing too is now the Sixers have healed off the bench that they can play as well. Batum, that
sure,
they have shooters as well that could that
I
could
would
make that
double him on the
difficult.
catch. The one game, go home, double him on the catch from the jump every single possession.
Hey,
And then if he's like switch up the look later on if it's
Mhm.
not working.
Okay.
if
But I
he, if
think they.
you're
Oh,
right
sorry,
though,
you go.
Nick. Yeah, oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right though, Nick. Even though he makes the right read, your best chance to win is when the ball is not in Embiid's hand. Get it out of his hand. Even if let the other guys beat you. Don't let this MVP beat you.
Yeah, I guess that is always the question when you're going up against a team with a great superstar like Joel Embiid in the post. It's like, do you let him?
Mid.
Do you let him do what he does and try to stop everyone else, or don't let him beat you, guard him, and make the make the others beat you or whatever. It's
Embiid is
definitely not an
going.
easy. It's definitely not an easy decision. But you're saying to double Embiid. I don't think that's a bad idea because Embiid is the Sixers go as Embiid goes for sure.
Yeah.
What I think Spo needs to do, I think he needs to do extensive film study of the first round 1 versus 8 matchup when the Celtics play the Nets, and watch how Boston played Kevin Durant in that series, because
Oh,
they
In that
shut
game.
Kevin Durant down in that
Yeah.
Oh, in
series.
that series.
They said you have Kyrie, you have other people, make them beat us. Make
That's
these
a good
second and third
call.
options step up.
Who you guys
They
taking?
I think I'm
Miami or
taking the
Philly?
Heat. I think it's going to come down to coaching, and I'm not going to bet against Spo. Just not a smart thing to do.
I'll take Miami as well. I thought I was gonna take Philly coming into the filming of this episode, but I'm going Miami now. I talked myself the other way.
I think that a couple of those guys, those key rotation guys for Miami's going to be out, and they're going to keep them out because they want to play Boston and want to whoop them in the first round. So I'm going to take Sixers. I'm going to take Sixers as winning this game. The Heat want to get healthy just so they can play Boston.
you know, I'll give my pick
I
in a
just don't
second.
want to see Joel Embiid in the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Joey's always got the conspiracy.
Well, so okay, this is on a game we
I've been
previously
around.
talked about. There were conspiracies on Twitter or people saying that the Lakers should tank the Pelicans game so that they wouldn't have to play the Nuggets in the first round and so they would play the Thunder.
That's smart.
Genius. That's
Me
genius.
me personally, I think that's stupid to intentionally make yourself go,
Big
and
brain.
I think that's stupid to intentionally get yourself in a win or go home game against most likely Steph Curry where anything could happen. Like,
What did we talk about? The game of the year has been the Lakers versus the Warriors. The NBA scriptwriters, that's what's going to happen. You're absolutely right. I switched my pick from before. I think the Pels are going to win. It's
oh
going
my
to be Lakers
gosh.
Warriors. I'm all about the conspiracies, man.
But I just think
That's
that's
insane.
yeah, I don't know.
No, what
But
do you have, Miles? Sixers or Heat?
I I think that I'm gonna go with the Sixers on this one. Um, I think that having home court advantage is going to be huge because the Sixers always have a very good home court advantage. I know that the Heat are, solid on the road. They can win anywhere. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that Joel Embiid is going to have a great game. And I think that they can pull off the victory. But I mean, I would not be surprised whatsoever if Miami pulled off this victory. But sub question in all of this, so the New York Knicks are the number 2 seed. They're sitting at home. preparing for whoever they're going to play in the first round. Who would you rather play if you're the New York Knicks in the first round, the Sixers or the Heat?
Sixers.
Is it the Sixers easy?
The
Or
Sixers because here's why. Okay.
Here's why, because Joel Embiid is overrated and blah, blah, blah.
No, it's not even that. It's because Mitchell Robinson is gonna make him look like a little baby. He's gonna make Joel Embiid look like he just got out of the delivery room and he just became a newborn baby child. That's what's gonna happen. Because Mitchell Robinson actually is tough. He actually has some tough bones in his body.
I don't think the Knicks care who they play. Julius Randle's not on the court, so they're making the NBA Finals no matter what.
Amen.
I think it's Philly too. They probably match up a little bit better with Philly.
They just match up better with the Sixers, I think. Plus, I just don't want to play Miami in April.
I just don't want to see a series where both Julius and Julius and Joel would play. I would cry. that would be the worst experience of my life.
I will say, no matter how it goes, the Sixers and Heat game, when Joel drops 40 points and 20 points of those are from free throws, someone buy a goggle and a new laptop because they guarantee you he's going to smash it.
Yeah. That's
same guarantee.
Definitely possible.
20 if he shoots 20 free throws in a play-in game, a big deciding game, and they're not earned, like if I see him get like punched in the face a bunch, maybe.
maybe.
But like, if he's getting these I've seen like 15-minute edits of him getting ghost calls. Like the ghost call is so stupid.
I think the Sixers will pull it out. So we're split on this?
Yep. Me and you got the Sixers.
Finally, first split.
Got the Heat.
If I see 20 free throws from Joel Embiid and I watch it back and he's getting ghost calls, the ref's getting RKO'd.
Jimmy's gonna get the 20 free throws on ghost calls. The roles will be reversed.
Well, then I'll call him out on it.
Okay. All right, let's get to the final game, the nightcap on Wednesday night, and it is. Does anyone want to yawn?
I'm ready for bed already. What are you talking about? This game is going to be okay. Realistically, does anybody here have the Bulls or the Hawks beating either the Sixers or the Heat? Okay, Gaga, put your hand down. Your opinion does not matter.
Okay, we got the Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, 9:30 Wednesday. Anything can happen. I'm not gonna say that that they definitely could not do it. I'm not gonna say they definitely could not do it. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
There's no shot. There's no shot. Neither of these teams belong in the playoffs. Anything can happen. I don't know even who to pick, the Bulls or the Hawks, because they're just mediocre at best.
And Atlanta is just decimated by injuries. I think, first of all, well, the Bulls they have a couple guys questionable, Ayo Dosunmu and Drummond, who have each had crazy games against the Hawks this year. Depending on their status, it may not mean as much for the Bulls, but the Hawks are probably going to run a 7-man rotation. That's how dry their lineup is now. They've been starting at the beginning of the year and throughout the year. They've tried to have great scoring options in the first unit and the second unit. They've had DeAndre Hunter and Bogdanović off the bench. Recently, because of all the injuries, they've had to throw them all together. They're currently starting Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Bogdanović, DeAndre Hunter at the 4 with Clint Capella. Luckily for the Hawks, the Bulls have also been going super small recently as well. With Kobe White, Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, Javonte Green back with the Bulls. He's shown his moments, and then Vucevic as well. These two teams, honestly, I mean, it makes sense because they're both, mid, but they match up pretty well.
Yeah, they do.
But I don't know.
No, I think it's almost like I don't know, DeRozan and White Caruso are basically going to drive them versus can Trey not get locked up by Kobe White and actually have a pretty big impact like he's going to need to with then DeAndre and the guys who aren't injured for like Bogey and them, are they able to also play a significant role and do enough? Because I don't see a whole lot of defense being played in this game. It feels like it's going to be a bit of a track meet.
It definitely could. I mean, the
Maybe.
Bulls. Yeah, it's just weird. The Bulls. I mean, they've played a lot better this season. They got off to a horrible start, and they've played a lot better since then. But it's still just, I mean, Alex Caruso, I believe, is going to make an all-defensive team this year. I mean, it's been very low-key because of the Bulls' struggles, but he's been an elite defender this year. So him on Trey is gonna be a big matchup. But the Bulls, like, they're gonna be running Kobe White on DeJounte. I mean, likewise, DeJounte will guard Kobe. I think those two might cancel each other out. So I think who do you think's gonna have the bigger game, Trae Young or DeMar DeRozan? And
Trey.
honestly, I think I might go with DeMar.
Dude, they're gonna put DeAndre Hunter on him, and he's gonna put him in a box.
But then Caruso would put Trey in Alcatraz.
That's why I think it's gonna be neither of them. I think it's gonna be DeJounte who's gonna be the best player in this game.
Okay.
I think Kobe White's gonna drop 30.
Vooch is gonna be big. This seems like a game where we're just gonna. This honestly, you're right. You're right, Jackson. This is gonna be a game where it's gonna depend on the random role player who's gonna score 25 points. This is just one of those games where.
Who's that guy in Atlantic with the Krejci?
Vit Krejci.
Yeah, it's gonna be Krejci.
Dude, like the Hawks bench is basically gonna be Vit Krejci and Bruno Fernando as the two for sure guys that they're gonna play, and then maybe we're probably gonna see a little bit of Wesley Matthews to guard DeRozan in some stretches, most likely. Joey's like, Wesley Matthews is still in the NBA.
That's exactly what went through my head.
Exactly.
I was like, wait, Wesley Matthews is on the Hawks? When did that happen?
Yeah, like Kobe buffed it. Like the Hawks just Kobe. I like Kobe's game, but he's not gonna be the better Kobe in this game.
No. You mentioned it. I think it's gonna come down to V. Krejci and then Javonte Green. You said he's been playing better. I think it's gonna be those two role players that are gonna go off.
Dalen Terry.
All right, now we're just throwing names.
Torrey Craig. No, these are legitimately the 7th and 8th players that are gonna play.
Like, we're naming random players, but these are the guys that are actually gonna play in a play-in game.
They're gonna play. They're gonna have big time roles. If we're talking picks, I'm gonna go with the Bulls because I think that we said whatever role player is gonna go crazy. It's way more likely that your role players are gonna step up at home versus on the road. So I'm gonna go with the Bulls for that particular reason.
I think I'm just gonna take neither. I think they're just gonna say they both lose.
You said that one was gonna be Philly.
You did.
You did say that. Say that.
Yeah. So the loser's gonna be like, what the heck?
Yep.
I'm gonna take the Bulls.
I'm taking the Bulls as well.
Wow.
I'm gonna take the Hawks.
Okay, I'm glad someone took the Hawks.
I even forgot that Trae Young came in. Okay. The Bulls have one of the worst defensive centers I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes.
The Hawks aren't any better.
The Bulls have my clutch player of the year, DeMar DeRozan.
Oh my god.
that is true.
It's just a dumb pick.
That is true. Regardless, both of these teams are probably going to see major changes in the offseason unless, whoever wins this game does beat the, loser of the Heat Sixers game.
The Sixers, just say it, please.
Let's be real. Both of these teams are going to be seeing Cancun in like 5 days.
Yeah.
Which one of these teams has the better chance to give Boston?
So I have a question.
You can't even say it with us straight. No, we shouldn't even.
What's gonna happen?
No.
What's gonna happen when one of these teams, or if one of these teams does beat Philly or Miami?
Then they'll get
What's gonna
swept.
happen?
Then they'll get swept.
Then they'll get swept.
I mean, Atlanta took Boston to 6 last year. Boston's a way better team, though.
Atlanta
Why are
beat
we even
Boston.
entertaining this? Why are we entertaining this? This is not
I'm
happening.
just saying.
Look. At the end of the day, this game is a race to the slaughterhouse. That is what this. That is what this
It
is.
really is.
I think the whole play. Whoever plays Boston is a race to the slaughterhouse at this point.
We'll get to preview that on on Friday when this video comes out. But those are our play-in predictions. Let us know in the comments what you think about all 4 of these matchups. This is, if you guys like this, style of, breaking down the matchups and all that stuff, there's going to be a lot more of it coming up with all this playoff basketball coming up, and it is going to be so much fun.
Yes, indeed.
You guys, you guys got anything else before we get out of here?
Just like I was saying with the matchups, like things get concentrated in the playoffs, so will this podcast. We will get very in depth, and we're going to be on our games the next couple months. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fun couple of months. It really is. Shout out to Rhea Ripley. Hope you feel better.
I am upset.
Happy Jagger Robinson Day.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah,
Colorado.
We'll be in Denver. We'll get to talk about the Nuggets. That whatever matchup they get will be fun. But
maybe I'll try to snag a playoff shirt while I'm there.
Yeah, Mile High City. Heck yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for NBA playoffs content. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.